Hello, everybody. How is everyone? Hope everybody's all right. Let me check if everything is okay here. Everything looks all right here. This goes on the right side here. And there we go. Hey, everyone. Welcome aboard. This is the Saturday edition of the live show. So we are on Saturday and Wednesday now. Little change. I'll explain a little more in a few minutes. I will take a sip of my beer by squeezing my orange in it. So today's beer of choice is Rickard's White. So this is what I'm getting here, Rickard's White. And so cheers, everybody. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave Radio Show. It's a show about radio, and it's a show where we talk about radio, and we just have a lot of fun doing so. We basically have talk about radio, shortwave radio in general, this ancient art of receiving invisible signals. And we do have a lot of fun talking about it. Lots of fans and lots of people still into radio and shortwave. It's not something that is dead. A lot of people have a tendency to think that, oh, that's a dead hobby. Nobody's doing that anymore. Well, no, there's quite a lot of people still doing it. And of course, here is an example of that. So basically, we just have a lot of fun. And if you're new to the hobby of radio listening, it's really, going to. If you have questions, if you want to learn something, this is the place to be. It's a lot of fun, and people are great, and people are just here to help each other in the radio hobby in general. So it's really a lot of fun to talk about radio. We're going to tune the bands a little bit. I do have my good old Texan PL here that is plugged on the W6LVP loop antenna. So that's also a lot of fun. We're just gonna do something here because I noticed that the wire is mixed up. Here we go. This is gonna be better. So let's just put this here. So yep, we can tune this as we can tune that. And we're going to have a lot of fun, I think, tuning around the bands and checking out what's out there today, and also talking about some stuff, including the schedule seasons that we're in the last month of the summer schedules. And my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We are here twice a week. So this is the first of the new schedule this week. We are usually here on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 0 hours Universal Time, which makes it UT Thursday for a lot of people. And we are here on Saturday now at 4 p.m. Eastern. That's 20 hours UTC. And this is the new schedule now. Instead of Friday, we will be here. On Saturday, and basically we're gonna I think we're going to have fun and check it out with this, and hope that you enjoy our and enjoy the hobby and have fun with us also at the same time. Talking about radio, there's a wonderful chat room. If you have a Gmail account, this is where you could be. And this is there's a bunch of great people that have fun, and we interact, and I say hello to everybody. Some people are annoyed at the fact that I take the time to say hello to everyone. Well, no, I think it's the cool thing. It makes it more personal to invite and say hello to everybody. I think it's part of the fun and part of the feel of being a gang and being together in our hobby. The weather today here was a mix of sun and clouds, and we had, I don't know, we barely made it to the 60s today. It's not very warm. It's typical October weather we have this week. And I know that up north, in the northern parts of Quebec, there's going to be some snow. They were saying that some parts of the northern parts of the province, near Kuujjuaq, they're going to have like 20, 30 centimeters of snow, like a feet of snow. You know, when we start hearing there's snow up there, we know that it's slowly creeping down, and we're going to have some snow at some point. Usually, October is the month we usually see the first snowflakes. We don't necessarily have, in general, accumulations unless we're unlucky, but or lucky, depending on, I like snow, so I don't care, but usually accumulations are not before at least November. But end of October, usually we see a few snowflakes fall, and it's like, okay, it's that time now. We have a Facebook group which has the same name as here, official SWL channel, and this is the place where the party continues. So when it's over here, you can go and head on to the Facebook group and continue sharing what you're listening to. And sorry, guys, I've it's kind of dry, so it's like when I talk, there's a lot of it's a little scratchy. Don't worry, no COVID here. And by the way, I will probably have to take 2 minutes while we are on the show, because I ordered some groceries that should have arrived by early afternoon, but they called me up and they had a problem. So I'll have my grocery delivered probably during the show. So if I say, oops, doorbell, that means my groceries have arrived and I'll have to go and pick that up. So I'll take a few minutes. So welcome everybody. Nice to have you on board. And like I said, my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast parts of North America. I often have the question, this is a radio. This is actually a SDR Play RSPDX receiver that is controlled by this computer. It is plugged to an actual outdoor antenna. 2 antennas are available today on, let me just try them out here. A, B. Actually, I'm not sure that they're both connected. Let me check it out here. Yeah, I've got 2 here, but I'm wondering if my backyard, I'm going to have to check when I get the groceries. I'm going to check that out, because I do have the K180 plugged in, but it doesn't seem to be plugged in because it doesn't react here. So I'm going to have to check that out. Anyways, this is my setup. I also have, of course, the Texan PL990X right next to me that is connected to the W6LVP loop, where we can also check out if I can hear some signals there. And any questions, anything about radio is welcome, and hope that you enjoy the live show today. Saturday, October 3rd, so first show of October. Pretty incredible when you think about it, how time flies, especially this year. Well, every year. I think time just flies, and goes faster as you get older. Chat room, Matt, MDK2, nice to have you here from Colorado. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you here from Morgan City, Louisiana. And no problem if you are busy. 73. We have Max Edstrong. Nice to have you here from Michigan, USA. Nice to have you on board. We do have, let me just go down. Of the Dawn. Nice to have you on board. And yeah, there was some slow scan TV from the International Space Station, absolutely, but it was not timed for us here in North America. It was timed more for everybody in Europe. Just want to check out here SSTV, SSTV. So did they announce anything else? Let me just check it out here. So we have, this is an old one. Let me just check it out here. Harris Home. So early October. Let me check it out. So here it says, okay, so October 4th until October 8th. So it's a continuous operation. So there's going to be some slow scan TV pictures sent from the International Space Station. And this is scheduled for to start tomorrow, October 4th at 14 hours Universal Time, and will continue all the way up to October 8th at 1915 UTC. So it's that means everybody that has International Space Station pass, and it's easy to receive actually. So if you want to try to receive pictures, it's time. So the slow scan TV mode of operation is Papa Delta 120 PD 120. And the frequency they are broadcasting will be 145.800 megahertz. That's in the 2-meter VHF range. So don't try picking that up on your shortwave radio. You need a scanner radio or a dedicated VHF receiver. Even the most basic of scanner radios with a little rubber ducky antenna is enough to receive this. They are extremely powerful and extremely good signal. So anybody should be able to do this. Slow scan TV, you can use, if you don't have a computer, you have an Android tablet, Android phone. You have Robot 36, which is an app that decodes slow scan TV. Robot 36 on Android. I know there's some slow scan TV apps for iPhone also and iPads. And if you have a computer, I use MMSSTV, which works great. And I know that there's several other software out there that actually decode slow scan TV. So all starts October 4th, tomorrow, October 4th at 14 hours Universal Time. And the operations continue until October the 8th at 1915 UTC. You need to know when the International Space Station is over your head. That's very important, because if you don't know, if it's not over your head, you're not going to hear it. You need to know when passes are over you. I use Heavens Above app. There's also the website Heavens Above you can use on the internet on any device, where you can track the International Space Station and see where it is in real time, and check out when it's going to pass over your area. So cool. This is fun. I'm going to probably have quite a few videos of decoding slow scan television pictures. So 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Well, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to have to check that out if there are some passes during the live show on Wednesday. because that could be fun to do live decoding on Wednesday. So I have to check out if there are some passes during the live show. I don't know if it's if they do. Kind of cool. This is always a lot of fun, and decoding these pictures is always cool, for sure. Of the Dawn, nice to have you here. Steve Miller, nice to have you on board. Whoa, that's hot. 103 Fahrenheit in Arizona. That's a little too hot for me. Rob in Phoenix, Arizona, nice to have you here. Eric Cottrell, bonjour. Welcome aboard WB1HBU in Boston, Massachusetts. Eric, bonjour Eric de la France et bienvenue. Toujours un plaisir, toujours agréable d'avoir des amis français parmi nous. John Wayne, nice to have you here. Nick Amador from Romania, nice to have you on board. We have Glenn, nice to have you here, my friend. Catalin, nice to have you on board from Germany. Why is the Skywave SSB so expensive? Is the XH data better and cheaper? The XH data is as good, that's for sure, and it is cheaper, yes. The CC Skywave SSB can be explained why it's a little more expensive, because it does come with a little more accessories. It does come with a power supply of a good quality with a toroid to actually remove noise. It does get the weather band here in North America, which could be a very important deal breaker for a lot of people, because having the NOAA weather channels is not necessarily is kind of cool. So there's a few little things like that make it a little more expensive, but it's not better than the XH data. The XH data does cost maybe about $40-$50 less. I mean, even in some of my tests, the XH data seems to be a little more sensitive than the CC Skywave SSB. But both radios are great. But the Skywave SSB does come with a little more accessories. It also comes with a pair of earbuds that are actually surprisingly good quality also. So, if you add the extras, it comes down to, why the price is possibly a little higher. It's like the Texan PL990X. It's $235, but take into account that compared to other radios, there are a few accessories that a lot of radios don't actually have in here. So there's a few things like that. But, it does come with more accessories than the XH data. That's for sure. For the rest, they tune really similar, and XH data is roughly, I tend to see it a little more sensitive, but I'd say XH data and reception and tuning is as good as the Skywave SSB. Arthur's Crafter's Kitchen, nice to have you here from Massachusetts. Jeffrey Chan, nice to have you here from Hong Kong. What else do we have? Marcos Polizzelli, nice to have you here, Marcos. 45 unit, nice to have you on board. Mark Cancelada, nice to have you here. Jersey Bound, nice to have you on board from New Jersey. Donald Hosmer, W8SWL. I don't know, I have no control with the ads that are played on my channel, so I don't know what you guys are seeing. I have no idea. Well, I have some idea because I see some 10 kind of, because my check marks are on all categories, so everything that is possibly there could be there. That's the way where YouTube works, but I'm not the one that chooses the ads they're playing. What else do we have? Kevin, nice to have you on board. WS2H. Likes the Saturday schedule change. Nice to have something on the weekend in post-summer. Yeah, well, you know what? So let's just talk about it, even though I am 20 minutes behind right now. Just quickly, the change goes with a lot of little things. So I'm taking care of somebody that is very sick, and I need a lot of extra time to actually deal with that. A lot of my weeks turn out to not go like I want because there's extra things that I didn't plan on that happen all the time. And that person actually had some has to go to for some treatments every week, and they changed the treatments to Friday. Before that, the treatments were on Thursday. So my Thursday was okay because I had, my Thursdays to do what I want. So I had some times for that. But now they changed that for Friday, which also meant that now my Friday was kind of messed up. So that's the reason why the change is happening, is that now I can get I will do the show on Saturday, which is honestly maybe a nice change, and it feels different, and it's kind of nice to have a different day maybe for the live show also. And it also evens out more of the stuff. So like Eric Cottrell was I think was the one posting the comment yesterday about how it spreads it out a little more. So it's kind of nice to have it on a Saturday. So there's that. That is nice also. Absolutely. And for me also, it spreads out a few things. Fridays was kind of a compressing day because I had some stuff to do in the morning. Then I had the recording of the International Radio Report with Sheldon. Then I had to, so I was editing, I was sending in the show. Then I had the live show. It was so many things on this Friday that it was like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff today. So Friday was like a big day for me. So it kind of spreads everything out more evenly, and I kind of find it okay like that, more interesting to continue like that. So we are now on Saturday. What else do we have? Next bar is 74. Nice to have you here. Page Master, nice to have you on board from Moore, Oklahoma. KC5 VOY, WA5136 SWL. Currently chasing the stations in the California QSO parties. Cool. And here's the star of the show, Mr. Paul the Cat, sleeping right here as we do this live show right now. So, Mr. Paul the Cat, dreaming of all of you instead of, he's probably dreaming of shortwave radios and chasing, I don't know, birds. Michael Satterfield, nice to have you here. Keegan, nice to have you here. XN80Xer in Northwest Arkansas. 70 Fahrenheit. That's a nice day. 70 Fahrenheit is not a bad day, for sure. What else do we have? Let me go down. Rich, nice to have you here. From North Carolina, can the MLA30 couple to medium wave internal ferrite, or do we need additional gadget? Thanks. You could, yes, but you do need an added gadget for that to work. You know what? The Texan AN48X antenna has a ferrite that is used to couple that loop antenna. I guess that ferrite, I need to check it out and see if I could adapt it. But that ferrite could be technically used to use the MLA30 and do an induction. So, because basically what you need to couple with the internal ferrite is either another ferrite connected to the antenna or some kind of loop. So, but technically you need an additional gadget, but technically that could be done, yes. It just needs to be done with the proper material. Ecadarius, nice to have you here, my friend. Andy Coley, nice to have you here. Eric Cottrell, same weather here, partly cloudy in the 60s. KJ Walde, nice to have you here from the Netherlands. Had a lot of fun last night because I'm looking at the Netherlands. So last night I completed my utility column for the messenger. And while I was doing that, I actually did something kind of cool. So I got a projector here, and I've got, of course, the SDR play. And I started having fun tuning the same signals and seeing if they are received in other parts, like in Europe, for example. So I tuned an QESDR on the. So I used my Google Chrome on my laptop, and I cast it to my projector so that it could be on the screen. And I tuned, I tuned a Netherlands receiver. I tuned one from Germany, I tuned one in Sweden. I tuned one in Iceland. I tuned one in New Zealand. I tuned like pretty much all around the world on the Kiwi SDRs last night. I had a blast actually. And I was sometimes comparing signals to see if I could hear them. Sometimes it was just tuning two different things or seeing if I can. Because while I was doing the messenger column, there were some signals in there that I was actually talking about. And I posted frequencies. So while I was posting the frequencies, I was actually trying to hear them at the same time. So I used a lot of European receivers for some of the. So there's channel markers from Russia that send these, Morse code letters, and many other things. And I like from time to time to use a European. If I don't hear it here, use a European receiver to see if the buzzer is still there, and all of those weird signals coming out of Russia that we just speculate what they are. So it's it was a lot of fun actually. I'm going to do that regularly. It was really really cool, and I ended up also checking out some Canadian signals. There's a receiver that's just about. It's at Saint Michel des Saints, which is maybe I don't know. It's I would say about 150 kilometers north of Montreal. I've been there when I was young. I've been there many times. My sister had it still has a place near that area, and we used to go there a lot. And there's a Kiwi SDR right there, and it is quiet and pretty good at receiving. So I was trying stuff that I could barely hear on that receiver to see if it gets it better. Actually, there were some things. Oh, I forgot to post yesterday. I need to post a video. I actually got here on my my SDR. I got the Bermuda weather. I got the Bermuda Arbor weather broadcast that is at I think it's like 0430 or 330 UTC. I don't remember which of the. I think it's 0435 UT. So it's like a 10-minute weather broadcast from Bermuda, and I actually heard it here last night on 2582. So anybody that wants to try Bermuda, they're on a fixed schedule. 2582 is the frequency. And if I check it out here, they broadcast 2582. I heard that's the one I heard. I heard the 0435 to 0445 UT broadcast in English from its stations. It's the station ZBM, Zulu Bravo Mike, Bermuda Harbor. And it's a 10-minute weather broadcast, marine weather broadcast on 2582. So I heard it yesterday. I heard it in the past, but it has been a very long time since I had received it. And so I was really, really happy to hear that. Last night it was kind of cool to hear Bermuda on that low frequency also of 2582. So I tried that receiver actually because I wanted to hear to see if he was getting that also. And actually, the signal there was much better than mine, only because there's less noise. So it just shows you noise is everything, and it's really what is the biggest problem in our hobby, because I was over there. I was tuning that receiver, which had almost no noise. It was coming in super clear. It was like a local broadcast almost. And here I could hear it, and I'm going to post a video later on because I did make a video of it. But it faded in and out, and it was difficult copy. It's only because I knew it was Bermuda Harbor, but it was a kind of difficult copy though. Dexfar 74 used my Kenwood R5000 most of all of my radios as at this time. Cool, nice radio. It's a cool radio. Really enjoyed mine. Well, Keegan on the Facebook group since Wednesday night. Cool. Welcome aboard. We are more than 1,200 members now. Ecadarius says, no party is complete without Paul the Cat. Richard Downey. Bonjour et bienvenue de la Bretagne. Nice to have you here. So, yep, Rob, some groceries coming up. Joe Tyson, nice to have you here from North Carolina, KM4WRQ. Ray Mullen, nice to have you here. Let's go down. Green Bay Packers shirt. So, yep, welcome aboard, Keegan. Crazy Jane, nice to have you here from the UK. William Helms, nice to have you on board from Florida. What else do we have? Rodders 1, London calling. Hello there. Welcome aboard from London. Nice to have you here. Also, the name of a... isn't that the name of an album or something, or song? Zachary Owens, nice to have you here, Zach. Matt is saying that that's just a Joe, the person who posted this STV from ISS, was in America and got it, and the last pass it made over us. Oh, wow. So he was positioned just right. Yeah, okay. So anyways, we're going to have a few days now. It's going to be fun to check out the SSTV for sure. Tony, nice to have you here from the UK. Joe Palu, nice to have you here, Joe. Bill, nice to have you here. Couple of weeks ago, we had 2 days where the sun was kind of clouded over. Or when it was not clouded over, it was like a weird orange look. And it was very weird looking. And when that happened that day, they said that the sky was not cloudy here in Montreal. It was the smoke from the fires in the Pacific that was very, very high up altitude, and it looked like it was cloudy, but in reality, it was the smoke, the fires from the smoke from the fires that was kind of clouding our atmosphere. So it was kind of weird to see that, can tell you that. Hi, Brawler. Nice to have you on board from Arkansas. Kamaxi 76. Nice to have you here. Favorite Commodore 64 game? Bruce Lee. Of course I remember Bruce Lee. I played that. I got a couple of games on the cartridge that I received that are like that bring me back, way back for my teenage years. One is International Karate, with that I played with a friend of mine. Chris, nice to have you here from San Francisco. Sarah Mason, it's actually your name. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Yeah, but the ISS hasn't started the slow scan TV yet. And I'm not set up for that right now anyways. Joe Samdanyu, nice to have you here from Brazil. Always nice to have you on board. Mark Cancela, decoding signals is something I would like to do with my RSPDX. Would I need an antenna for VHF, UHF? I have a long wire setup in the MLA30. Ideally, having a dedicated VHF, UHF antenna is better. But from experience, you should try it even with the long wire or the MLA30. You might be surprised. You might be surprised at what you'll get. It sometimes works all good enough. I didn't try my MLA30 on the VHF. Well, I did a little bit. It does receive. It doesn't receive that well, but it does receive. So you could try the MLA30. For the slow scan TV stuff for the International Space Station, I would try the long wire. Chances that it could, work. Explorer 74, not looking with the XH data. Fine tuning button is broken. Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, nice looking radio. The Skywave SSB. This one here. It's actually, I got it very, very close. This is the CC Skywave SSB. It is a nice radio. I mean, I've used it quite a lot. It's a nice little radio. Sound is a little tinny because of the smaller speaker, but it's a nice radio, honestly. What else do we have? Mountain Ballet, nice to have you here from Colorado. Joe Palu, KB3LUE from Ohio. Graham, nice to have you here. Graham, off from the UK. What else do we have? Yeah, the signal should be on 145.800, and it's Papa Delta 120, Matt. But it should be on 145.800. 835 is a little high. Maybe they're having some problems or something. Lee Burkett, nice to have you on board. Having trouble with my signal strength on my Samsung Galaxy. Hopefully I'll start this soon. Signal is being jammed. That's weird. Graham Taplin, nice to have you here from Milton, Ontario. So what happened is I needed this microphone to be set up for a couple of videos. So I will not do it today. But next week we will have I will have the other microphone with the console set up, and next week we will actually be testing that out, and I'll need you guys to tell me how it sounds. So for today we're at the usual setup with the USB microphone, but next week we're gonna be testing that out for sure. I'll try to make maybe all week the two shows, Wednesday and Saturday. Using the console. We'll see how it goes with that. And I'll be able to inject the sound of the radios also at the same time. Ben Medvedev, nice to have you here from Moscow, Russia. What else do we have? So you're getting the slow scan TV from the ISS right now. Wow, it's actually turned on. So that's interesting. Huh. Okay. So they actually turned it on earlier or something, because, I mean, we are October 3rd. So I guess they didn't switch it off or something. That's interesting. That's interesting. Color Radio, nice to have you on board. Throat Punch, is a car cigarette lighter adapter system okay to plug into the wall and use a car CB at home? Well, you need to have the adapter, but if you have the proper power supply and adapter kit, it works fine. Lenny Ricci, nice to have you here, Lenny, from Georgia. Just ran across your channel. KO4DJT, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. What else do we have? Let me just go down. Yeah, well, the person really needs help, and so without me, it's like and with me, that person is can still stay at home. So that's the good thing. So, but also I got to be extra careful because that's also one of the big reasons I've been very, very careful. Because here we have a shutdown again that started on October 1st. We got like 1,100 cases today of COVID, and so I got to be also extra careful not to get COVID because that would maybe possibly kill that person if he would ever get it. Cyberflower One, nice to have you here from England. So Matt's got the picture. Let's check that out. Oh, nice. Nice the code. Cool picture, Matt. Really nice. Well, I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm not set up for VHF right now, so it's kind of impossible to do here. What else do we have? Next far 74, Mr. Paul dreaming of lasagna. I have a stray cat in the backyard that has started to come over, and he stays in the neighbor's yard. And he looks up here because I started giving him some food, and he's so hungry that he started actually coming up the back steps up to my balcony up here. And this morning I opened the door. He looked. I said, "Hey, how are you?" He got in real fast, went to Paul's food, ate everything in his that was in his bowl, and then just left real fast. I was like, okay, well, come again. So, but I don't know. He does not seem to have any home, and he seems to be extremely hungry. So I'm gonna continue. It's so funny because Paul was sitting in the kitchen, and he looked at him go to his bowl, eat everything. He looked at him go outside, didn't do anything, but just like, well, okay. Paul didn't react or anything. I was like, okay. It's just funny. So cool. I'm gonna have to set up and make sure that I tune in the slow scan TV pictures. It's really nice. It's really, really cool. Tim Lewis, nice to have you on board from Long Island, New York. Nice to have you on board. And what else do we have? VE3 VTG. The Clash, eh? London Calling. Is the LP and song title by The Clash. That's it. Okay. Thanks. So I was like, London Calling. Who's that? I was trying to remember who. Skip Davis. Nice to have you on board from Oklahoma. Lee Burkett picked up the Panasonic RF3500 receiver. Going through the bands, it's much different to my Texan receiver. Yeah, these older radios is much different. That's for sure. So Joe Palu, no, FLDG does not decode. I don't think it decodes slow scan TV. MMSSTV is the best to do it. Or else there are some other apps. If you're not in Windows, there are some apps. Shelly, nice to have you here from Pennsylvania. What else do we have? Oh yeah, there is definitely, especially in the tuning, it feels very, very different. Tuning an analog radio versus a DSP-based receiver, portable receiver. Wim Jaggerman, nice to have you on board. PD0HRS near Amsterdam. Keisha Escape, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? What else do we have? Joe Tyson says he can look at a discount antenna. Yep, discounts are great. Shenghi, I don't hear the NESS TV or voice from ISS on 145-800, but there is some weird noise from that frequency. Because SSTV is like, a set of tones. It's kind of weird tones being sent out. And when it passes over your area, you should be hearing something. It's quite easy to hear too. Louis says, can anybody ask a radio company to review for free, if any? I rather pay for the radios, honestly, because I can say what I want without a problem. Erica Cho, the ISS is running so much power that a long wire may work. Yeah, that's what I think too. I think a long wire may work too. I wouldn't be surprised. The Lone Wolf Ottawa VA3BNS, the bad ham. You're a bad ham? Nice to have you here. Tom the Xer, WPE2QED. Nice to have you here from Hudson Valley, New York. What day is it? I don't know. I lost. I actually working from home all the time. I can tell you one thing. You wake up in the morning and sometimes it takes a couple of minutes to realize, oh, today's Saturday. Okay. I was not Saturday, So Alva Shagness, nice to have you on board from the island of Trinidad. Pretty cool. Lone Wolf Ottawa says, love the videos, help me so much. Cool. Well, they're here for that. What else do we have? Marcos Antonio, nice to have you here. Marcos Antonio. What else do we have? Lieberkit says, I had problems of finding Radio Slovakia in German on 3985. Yeah. Was received on the 41 meter band. The Panasonic RF 3500 is much different. Yeah. You got to get used to some of these radios sometimes, for sure. Larry Cordy, nice to have you here from New York. What else do we have? Next far is listening to 4625. So you're one of those guys that know what it means. You're listening to that all the time. I knew it. Somebody on the channel knew what all of that was about in 4625. Matt says, I had my handy talkie and I could hear the ISS SSTV loud on that, but it's a lot more manageable to use the RSP2 Pro and JPOL and SSTV. Yeah, it is easier to use either that or even when I listened to it, it was kind of easier to listen to it tuning around with my ICOM ICRD 500, for example, than it was actually using an handheld scanner or communications receiver. But it works, it works. If you have only that, it works, totally works. That's for sure. I had my first listen of the repeater on 437-800 the other day. I had a good minute of pretty good audio from ham stations. Ingmar Klenhart, nice to have you on board. CC Skywave SSB, small in size and big in sensitivity. Oh, it works well. It's a very nice radio, honestly. Mike says strong. Well, it's a nice radio. I mean, it seems in some of the things that I did with when I was using just a telescopic, I seem to notice the XH data is a little more sensitive. But it showed only really on the weak signals. On the weak signals, it made a difference. When signals were strong enough, in general, wasn't too bad. Kisha Escape says, I remember that stray cat from when you used to do the live shows outdoors. He would sneak in your house and steal Paul's food. But now he's kind of more, he seems to be there more. What else do we have? Matt says, good of you to care for the stray. I took one in once in spite of having two cats, and it worked well, but it helped. Some previous owner had him fixed already. Yeah, he's very, very scared. I mean, the stray cat is extremely. If I move, just moving, and he just jumps around and wants to leave. He's very. He doesn't. It's funny because I was able to pet him twice. And when the third time arrived, when I put my hand, he took his paw and pushed my hand and like, what are you doing, man? I don't like that. So in general, he's getting kind of accustomed to me a little more. So I talk to him, he gets in, goes and eat, then goes outside. Where I'm worried more, because, now a temperature is still not bad. I know where he hides. So the next door neighbor, they have a, it kind of a big shed. Well, actually, it's like a chicken, one of those chicken. I don't know how to call it in English, but it's like one of those chicken houses, and it does really look like that. And I'm pretty sure that's what it was at some point in its life. But now it's just an abandoned little kind of big shed, and there's a hole in one side of it. And a couple of times when I open the door in the back, I see him come out of that hole. So I know that he probably goes, that's his kind of his home. So he goes in there, he sleeps there. When it's raining, he's in there. The problem is, and that's what I'm thinking about, is but when you're going to, when it's going to be minus 20 in January, I can't really see him staying outside. So I'm thinking, well, if Paul doesn't mind, because I think of Paul first. If Paul doesn't like it and Paul doesn't want it, he's not going to come in, and I'm going to chase him. I'm going to try to have him go away. Now, Paul doesn't seem to mind. And a couple of times I was looking outside, and they're both like sleeping in the grass, not very far from each other. So they seem to kind of be friends. And when he came in, a few times he came in, Paul doesn't seem to be. One time, Paul kind of gave him one smack with his paw because he was kind of too close. But it doesn't seem to be a bad relationship. So we're going to see, because I was thinking, well, when it's minus 20, he's going to need a warm place to get in. It's going to be too cold for him. So maybe we could do something with that, Not that I necessarily want to have two cats, but anyways, it's kind of nice. Log 2112, nice to have you on board. Marcos Antonio just entered the world of radio. Cool. That's always fun to start and check out that. It's really, really nice. Page Master made contact with Department of Justice Radio Club, W6DOJ. Oh, wow. I didn't even know that the DOJ had some amateur radio clubs. Huh. Eric Cottrell, one reward was my mom could transfer the house to me without it being counted as one of her assets as I lived in the same building. Oh, cool. Robbie Strike, nice to have you here. Have the MLA30, but for some reason, with my RTL SDR, I can't hear AM radio on it during the day. I hear it fun at night. I hear it with my portable radio. I think it's the RTL SDR that has some problems. It's RTL. Okay. Groceries have arrived. 1 minute, guys. Here we go. And we are back with everything all right. And here we go. Already an hour into the show. It's incredible how time flies. So, yeah, so the RTL SDR, is not a very good device, honestly. So, you might be getting some of the stronger signals at night, but it's possible that in the daytime, the ones you got are maybe not as strong, and they're not getting into your RTL SDR. In that range, in the range of AM medium wave, RTL SDR is a very bad performer when you're as low as that frequency for AM radio. James Johnson, nice to have you here. Happy Saturday. Northern Rambler, nice to have you on board from a wet, windy Northern Ireland. What else do we have? What else do we have? Eric Cottrell, tuning steps on some radios are so fun that the tuning knob acts like an analog radio. Oh, yeah, absolutely. What else do we have? Randall Cluns, the mode used for 145-800 is PD120. Papa Delta 120 for slow scan TV. That's what I like of MMSS TV. It just detects it automatically. You don't even have to choose. And it works really well for that. Catalan, wonder if there are some radios with Bluetooth for wireless headphones. There are some radios with Bluetooth for shortwave, but they're not meant for wireless headphones. They're meant the other way around, to be used as devices to play media. So, for example, my Texan PL990 does have Bluetooth, but it's to play from your phone or from any device that has Bluetooth audio because it has good sound. It doesn't work the other way around, so you can't use that with earphones, for example. Max Headstrong has a spare Polestar L830 loop. Has no power supply or extra loop sticks. Huh. Okay. And it can run on batteries. So, yep, the 990X has Bluetooth. Well, they call it a hidden function, but honestly, it's not really well hidden because just pressing the button, I came on it without even reading anything, you know. So, but yeah, you can use a, like Quillia says, you can use you can buy a $15 transmitter, Bluetooth transmitter, and plug any receiver with it. That's true. You could use that if you wanted. Absolutely. So, you know. Keisha give the stray cat some expensive gourmet treats. Oh man. Yeah, maybe that I could check it out. A box with an old blanket won't be enough when the winter comes, but it would help him get used to you. Yeah. For now, Paul is not friendly with everybody, but he doesn't seem to bother much. The funniest and most interesting part of Paul that I've seen yet is when the neighbors downstairs arrived. They had some friends come over, and the friends had a dog, and Paul didn't like the dog. Paul actually chased the dog around, and the dog was scared of Paul. And the neighbor downstairs says, it's so funny. I had the impression that Paul the cat wanted to protect us from the dog. And I mean, I saw Paul running like crazy after the dog. It was like, whoa, okay, you're really mad. You don't want that dog around. But Paul is a rather laid back, relaxed cat, you know. So it doesn't seem to be. So I'm gonna check it out. Anyways, you know, as long as it's not below zero, I don't think he doesn't seem to be. He's hungry and everything, but he doesn't seem to be too bad. Doesn't seem to be too bad. Yeah, that's what should have happened for the Texan. Have the radio delivered while the show is happening. Oh man. What else do we have? Matt says, I have my overnight recording of Radio New Zealand Saturday night request show playing back daytime. Has been very signal scarce lately. Yeah, 13840 is almost impossible now. And I tried 9700. They changed to 9700 at 0500. I tried last night. I listened to Shortwave until about 0530 last night. I went to bed quite late. And I plan to try to do that again tonight and see what I can hear. And I could not hear. 9700 did not even have a peep of a signal at all. Take care, Cadarius 73. So, well, it doesn't necessarily overheat, James Johnson, but it comes real hot, and especially the RTL SDR runs very hot, and it's a normal side of its operation. Harry Cottrell could be strong medium wave stations that are only during daytime. Some stations reduce power at night. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that could be happening. Robbie Strike, thanks. That's what I thought I might have been. I'll have to try connecting the radios to the MLA 30 at night, because when you look at AM radio, I see hundreds of stations booming in. Yeah, what you could try to see if it's also what you got to be very careful on the RTL SDR is also how strong, how high you put the RF gain. Try to take the manual RF gain and lower the RF gain, because if you set it too high, the RTL SDR becomes useless. It kind of overloads and has spurious signals everywhere. It's a delicate balance. You have to find how far you can push it, but don't push it 100%. A lot of people have the problem that a lot of people have with the RTL SDR is they push the RF gain to the max, and they say, "Well, it doesn't work." Yeah, because the RF gain is really way too high. You have to put it here. It's like I don't know, about 65-70% max. I don't push it more than that. It becomes useless when you push it too much. Kishescape, the little hole on the top right corner. The little hole on the top right corner of my PL990X. Okay, that little hole that you see here. I don't know why there's a hole there, actually. Because and I didn't even notice there's a hole there. And I don't think it has any special function from what I know. There's just a hole there for some reason. I don't know. Because there's no microphone on the PL 990X. Well, the reset hole is on the bottom, because the reset is really at the bottom. It's here next to the card, the SD card. So this is weird. I didn't even notice there was a hole there. You just made me realize this. I did not even see it. And I've had it for a week. That's so funny. It's funny how people see stuff that you just don't see. So there's no use for it from what I know. Matt says, I bet by wintertime, if you're giving him food and shelter, like, be more likely to come in. Yeah, possibly. I'll check it out, and if I see that at some point he gets maybe too cold and doesn't want to come in or anything, it's kind of interesting. I'm gonna check slowly. We'll see how things goes, and even if it's just setting him a little bed near the door because he's concerned, and if he gets too scared, he wants to go out. If at least he spends a couple of hours in the warmth, at least it's gonna be that. We're gonna see how it happens. The problem that's going to arise is that with the cat, and that's what happens to Paul. So every cat that comes here, they come here by going under the fence. There are 3 spots exactly where every cat can go under the fence. When winter comes, we get snow. And when the snow gets too high, they can't pass under the fence anymore. So that's going to be the other thing, is if he can't go under the fence, how easy going to come here? I mean, I've seen Paul the cat do it a couple of times. He goes behind. There's a metal shed in the backyard on the bottom, at the end of the backyard, and there is a plastic, unused plastic garbage can. And what Paul did, the few times I saw Paul go out from the yard here with the snow, is he jumps on the fence and goes on the other side. But the times that I've seen Paul do it, it looks very painful and very difficult. And actually, last winter he did not do it. Last winter was the first winter where I did see that he didn't try to leave. So I don't know. It's the other one is probably more in shape because he's smaller. So you might be able to jump on the fence and jump over the fence, but we'll see as time goes by. So Tom the Xer, Radio J Allen review of PL990X. Give it an overall very good review. Yes, I did see. I love his reviews. I like that guy's reviews are very, very informative and interesting. And I always read everything, all the reviews, even radio. I read his reviews of radios I don't own or will never own. I particularly like his reviews of the radios I do have. And it's a very good radio overall. You know, if I have to say it quickly and resume very quickly, you're getting on the PL990X a great radio. There are two things that are going to annoy you. The synchronous detection that is crappy and doesn't lock and it unlocks all the time. The second thing that you're not going to like, if you're a big fan of listening to single sideband all the time, the AJC is kind of harsh and kind of punches all the time when there's talk. It would need to be a smooth AGC, but obviously the AGC is very fast, so it drops like it goes from 0 to 100 in a tenth of a second. So it like it punches all the time. So every time somebody talks, in between there's that little, single sideband is it's not like an AM signal. An AM signal, there's that carrier that keeps the AGC working. In a single sideband signal, if the AGC is too fast, automatic gain control, what happens is single sideband, when you talk, there's a signal. When there's no talk, there's no signal. So the radio drops to 0. The guy says a second word, AGC just like has to kind of draw back because the AGC just went up and now it's drawing back because it's too strong, and it kind of distorts and has that punching in the speaker. So that would be the second negative side of the Texan PL990X. So these are the two negatives I have on it. For the rest, can't say anything bad. It's sensitive. It works great. Has great features. It's easy to tune in single sideband. It's fun. Battery. Somebody asked me the other day. So, how long does the 18650 battery last? Well, I did the experiment. I turned it on at 9 a.m. and I left it on all day with the light on. In the display. And I got exactly about 14 to 15 hours before it shut down with low battery. So that tells you that the 18650 batteries that come with the radio, they'll give you more than 12 hours of use each. And if you keep the light off, it's going to give you even more. So, and there's 2 of them. So they'll give you a nice run when you use them for sure. Matt says, they stopped using 9700. They're on 11725 at 0500. Okay. Oh, okay. I thought they were still on 9700. I'm going to try it out tonight, but I don't, 13840 is not coming in almost anymore. I don't expect 11725 to be that great, but I will try it tonight. I will try it tonight at 05 and see if I can get it on 11725. So, Cool, yeah. For over 200, I'd like to see DRM included. Yeah, there's no real decent DRM radio at a price that is interesting. They do have, Texan does have a DRM radio, but it's like, $400. It's like, what? It's totally crazy. Keegan heard us on 700 KSEV Houston, Texas, and WLW. That one I hear all the time here. Cincinnati, Ohio. Pretty cool. WLW is the one I hear all the time here in Montreal. So, okay, we're going to check it out, Matt. I'm going to try this tonight. I'm going to do some radio listening later tonight also. I've had fun. It's so funny. I don't know. It's probably some of those weirdness in how you live a life. So we all have a pattern of work and hobbies and things we do, and being a guy that works from home and that kind of gets up in the morning at like 9:30 a.m., which is my time when I usually get up. You would think that I, listen to the radio to 1 a.m. or something. And it's funny because in the weekdays, even though I work from home, even though I know I can wake up I can get up at 10 if I want, I still, for some reason, keep some kind of a cycle that around midnight is my time to go to bed. And that changes on Friday night, Saturday night. For some reason, those are two nights where, 1:30 a.m., 2 a.m. As if in my brain, even though I don't go out to work somewhere, I work from home, my brain is still wired that a weekday you should go to bed earlier than in the weekends for some reason. I know it sounds weird because it shouldn't be like that. I work from home. Who cares? I could, listen to Shortwave until 2 a.m. on a Wednesday night. But for some reason, I don't know. My brain is kind of wired to, nope, not on Wednesday. They'll do it on Friday or Saturday if you want, but not on Wednesday. I don't know. It's so weird. I think about it sometimes like, well, I'm weird. Rich says hole maybe for temp. Oh, that's possible. Because there also is on the when you go through the different display, there's the temperature in it. Maybe also the sensor for temperature is there. Another thing, well, it does have a grill there, so there was not necessarily a reason for it. If it had been sealed, I would have said, well, it could be a to make sure that the air pressure is the same inside and outside. That also could be, technically, I've seen some electronic devices that have a little punch hole because when they're really tight, that punch hole is to make sure that the air pressure inside and outside is always equal, so it doesn't do any damage or any pressures. So I don't know. What else do we have? Keisha Cave says, yes, I'm always noticing the imperfection of things. Drives me nuts every time. I get a new radio till I get used to it. Yes, that is a very good. That would be an explanation, a good explanation. James Johnson. Yes, the vent for the speaker to improve sound quality. Yes, absolutely. That would be an explanation because it does have a lot of bass and good audio. So when I put the volume up, it actually vibrates a lot from the speaker. That would be a use for this little hole to make sure that the pressure, the air pressure, always can be adjusted depending on how the speaker moves. That is absolutely a very logical explanation. It's a small hole, but maybe it's enough to do the job in this radio. Absolutely. So James Johnson is the winner of tonight's question of the night. So yeah, that is very logical. Absolutely. So Jesus, get brand of the house near your cat. You know, I would like to buy a house here on the street, and there's one for sale on the other side, which is very small. You know, one of those small little houses with the little triangle type roof, and they're not really big. These houses here are rather small. They're rather dark. There's not a lot of windows. The only thing that's big is that they do have a lot of land, and so I see it and I look at the price, and the guy's selling it for $670,000. Now, depending on where you are in the U.S. and in the world, you might say, "Well, that's cheap." The problem is here in Montreal, that's not cheap. It's actually very expensive. For a house like that, it's very expensive. So, you know, I looked around. I look at the other types of houses that are the same as his around here that are for sale. They're all like 450, 500. And I look at his house and I'm like, you're selling this for 670? Come on. It's dark, it's small, and it's like, you know, it's so anyways. Um Erica Charles, you need to shovel out the snow from under the fence. You know, I don't, because I kind of like the fact that Paul doesn't go too far away. I don't like all the time. I don't like all the time to you know, when he goes and he doesn't come back for like a long time. Kind of don't like this, you know. What else do we have? Yeah, PL 600 suffers from that also. The AGC punch. Absolutely. You know what? You get used to it, Kisha Escape. I had it on the PL 600. It's not as bad on the PL 660, 680, but although it is there a little bit. I noticed it. Does it really bother me that much? Not necessarily, but I do have to mention it because it's something that some people do. You know, it was one of the first comments, I think, on when I posted the 80-meter scan. It was one of the first comments. Somebody noticed it immediately that the AJC was, you know, kind of annoying. And so for some people, it could be a deal breaker. For others, it might not be that bad of a problem, you know. Personally, it's not something that drives me crazy more than anything else. If I had to choose one thing that drives me nuts, is really the synchronous detection that just doesn't work. For the rest, I can't. You know, that AJC problem is not something that necessarily is a deal breaker. Not for me, anyways. John Doe, can the AGC and sync be fixed with a firmware update? I'm. I don't. I don't know what they could fix with a firmware update. Can that be fixed? Honestly, I'm not sure. For that to be fixed with a firmware update, it would need to be that the firmware can act on the speed of the AGC or the way the synchronous detection works. And I think that it is not the case. I don't think the firmware update can necessarily fix that. But I don't know. I don't know up to what point that firmware update and this radio can do something. You know it can play around with the way the radio tunes a little bit and stuff like that, but I think it's rather limited what it can deal with, and that AGC and sync problems might be much more of a problem than the you know, it's much more of a problem with the hardware of the radio. Tom DXer 990X seems good, but I don't see a compelling reason to upgrade from my PL660. That's what I want mostly to talk about. There was one guy that posted a video saying, posted a comment, and he was saying, well, you got that radio, and you're finding flaws that you talk about, and why? Because the reason I need to talk about the flaws the radio has is because some people that are watching my videos might be thinking of buying one. You need to talk about every aspect of the radio. That said, I am in love with my PL990X. I know this sounds very weird, and I probably need to see some specialist because it's not normal. But the I am in love with my PL990X. It is up there with my favorite radios now. I'm extremely happy to have one. But, I got you guys helping me out with donations on it. If I had to shed out that money by myself after reading the AGC kind of, is harsh, and the sync detection doesn't work well, I probably never would have purchased one. I have one. I'm very happy with it. And honestly, I am extremely happy to own it. And it will be one of my radios I will use all the time now. You'll see in the next few months that the PL990X is part of a lot of my videos. You guys can see the radios I like, honestly, when you watch the videos that I post. Look at the last year of videos. When I'm somewhere at the park, when I'm doing radio, side-by-side radios, stuff like that, you guys can easily see the radios I love. Because what do you naturally do when you listen to the radio? You always pick up at least one radio you like. If I have two radios, I will at least pick up one of the radios will be the one that I always enjoy and like a lot. So you can have an idea of the ones I love and the ones that I'm not that fond of. It's obvious in the videos that I'm posting. The 990X will be part of a lot of videos. I think it's one of the radios I do love. I love the fact that it's a little bigger. I like that. And it's part of my radios that I really enjoy. But I have to talk about the flaws. I have to be honest on this channel about the good and the bad of the radio. And what I think. I'll give always my personal, some people get annoyed sometimes. That Icon ICR30. I mean, if you're happy with it, you're happy with it. That's all, I'm not. My opinion. But it's a tested opinion. The other thing is I don't want you to buy a radio because I'm not going to mention what's not working right with it. And you're going to say, well, that guy says it's amazing. Buy now. And then you go back home and you're like, well, that radio isn't all that I thought it was because you seem to say that it's amazing, but it's not. Well, I don't want that. I want you to buy a radio because you know what it's capable of, and you know what are the good and the bad sides of that radio. Because I know some people will buy it just because I talk about it in a certain way. It's the nature of this channel. A lot of people buying stuff because I say it's good and it's worth it. And so I have to be fair. It's funny how people react to the different reviews and different ways of thinking. And you're like, well, I talk about it and the fairness that I can do And it's like we said a couple of weeks ago. There are people out there that cannot actually admit that a radio is bad because they paid big bucks for it, and because they paid big bucks for it, they have to say it's good even though it's not. Because there's a lot of people like that. Yeah, you just spend $1,000 on that crap. You know, the other side of radio, I get a lot of criticism about. And look at the C-Crane Skywave SSB. I do get a lot of criticism of people saying, well, that's a great radio. That's it. It's a good radio. But can I, and I will repeat it all the time, say that for $50 less, you get a great radio that performs as well, and it's $50 in your pocket to buy something else? That for me is also important to mention. C-Crane's great, but if I have to buy a C-Crane or an XH Data D808, I'm jumping on the XH Data. I'm not going to buy another C-Crane. I didn't buy my C-Crane. I got it free, but I'm not going to buy a C-Crane. I'm going to buy an XH Data. That's it. And that extra money, I'm going to buy something else with it or have it for another radio. It's just that. It's just that the fairness of I'm not saying it's a bad radio. People associate the fact that I say, well, it's kind of expensive for. I'm not saying it's a bad radio. Did I mention it's a bad radio somewhere? No. I just said you could save $50 will be in your wallet, and the radio's as good. That's all. That's what I'm saying, and that's the only thing I'm saying. For the rest, it's up to you to make the decision. And one of the things that a lot of people jump on is, with C-Crane, you get the warranty. Yeah, in the US, you get the warranty. Buy a C-Crane in Europe, and you have no more warranties that you have on the XH Data if you buy on eBay from somewhere in China. It's the radio's brand has nothing to do with its warranty. It's where you buy it that has everything to do with the warranty. Buy on Amazon, and on Amazon, it's kind of easy to return. Buy it on a local dealer that has a policy of some return, free return if you don't like it. Of course, it's easier. But that's with any radio and any brand and anything. It doesn't have to do with the brand. It has to do at that point, it has to do with the seller. Who is selling you the radio? What's its policy if something happens? And that is of every brand. So somebody in Europe buying a C-Crane from eBay, it doesn't have a better warranty than the guy buying an XH Data from China. You start getting into those moments where it's kind of complicated to get a return of something and try to exchange something. If you buy it from a good store, a store that everybody knows, if you buy it on Amazon, yes, you get a much better return policy in case of problems. So the problem sometimes will arise more in the where do I buy it and what happens if it breaks down while I'm using it. Because it could happen technically, that's for sure, that's for sure. Okay, let's go down. Let's go down. What else do we have? Go down. So, what else do we have? Hey, Levy Nathan, nice to have you on board from Israel. So, says hold also a mic for Bluetooth calls from your phone. No, that all is not a microphone. at all, at all. Not on the 990X. The radio is capable of one-sided operation, not both. I don't think so. We would need to try it though. We would need to try it. Can I record something here? 'Cause now you guys are getting me a little. Because could that be? That is interesting. I need to check it out. I'm going to check it out more, and we're gonna because maybe I'm missing something also. But I think it's for bass, and I think it does make the speaker more efficient. Because I don't think it. I don't think it's a microphone. Honestly, but well, because if it would be a microphone for the return, why doesn't the radio have audio? Because that means it can send audio also the other way. Why doesn't the Bluetooth be able to send the audio somewhere else? It just receives the audio. It doesn't send it. So, anyways, I'm going to check it out. I'll investigate a little more. But well, there's no mic in there. I'm pretty sure there's no mic in there. Self Golf, nice to have you here. Yeah, well, with strong audio, yeah, that would degrade the audio for sure. Mad Radio DXer, nice to have you here. Danny, Shortwave, and Radio DX, nice to have you on board from Yonkers, New York. Pretty cool. Gish Escape, there's a good house near me for 600K, but the yard is so super huge, you would think it's a park. Yeah, Rick Cottrell, absolutely. It's obvious at 670,000 that house is really too expensive. They're all around 450 here, so that one is really they're asking really too much. Can tell you that. Cool. Yeah, you know what? AGC is a problem on older radios. There were some radios that had AGC problems, but very often more high-end devices, high-end radios, like the ICOM here, you often have settings for the AGC. You'll have slow, medium, fast. So you'll use like when I listen to SSB or single sideband on my ICOM, I'll use a slow setting because that curve being slow, it sounds less harsh every time somebody talks. No, there's no setting for the AGC, Matt, and the PL990X. It's just set to a level, and it's that level. You have nothing you can do. It's really it's really just set like it is. Max says strong my long wave receiving ability at my QTH is close to 0. The noise is very high, and I get the strongest non-directional beacons, and that's pretty much it. Really nothing much more, honestly. Yeah, I did that a few times with other radios, not the 990X, but there were a few radios that I used in the past that I would sometimes plug on that DSP unit, which I'm not using much right now. It could be nice to plug some radios on it and try it out. Thomas Olson, nice to have you here, Thomas. James Johnson, radios are like children, have to spread the love out equally. Yeah, you got to talk about what's good, what's bad. Honestly, I'm happy and I love the Texan PL990X. Cottrell says, while at the park, if he flings the radio into the river, he's not happy with the radio. Oh, man. Quillia is reluctant to get something bigger than the PL310. Makes me think I should just get a real transceiver or something laptop based. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's it depends what you like and what you want. David in Barcelona, EA3IEK. Nice to have you on board. Danny Shortwave, I didn't buy the W6LVP loop because of your review and saved money. Well, that's the thing, I mean, if it would be $10, $20, $30, $40 more than an MLA30, okay, you might go for a W6LVP loop. But if you go for an antenna that is 10 times the price for no real gain in performance or very little, well, you know what? Why spend all that money? I've got, 3 MLA30s, one W6 LVP. I would never purchase that if I knew that the W6 LVP loop isn't really that much better, if at all better. And it's a big difference in price. We're not even talking about, double price. We're talking about 10 times the price. Now, that's a big chunk of money. And I got to tell you, VE3 VTG, as he says. Same thing applies to Blue 6 LVP versus MLA30. Mike says strong. To me, radios are like pepperoni pizza and lasagna. Never had a bad one, just some better than others. Oh, man. Did I ever have a bad pizza? No, I think you're right. I never had a bad pizza, but there are better pizzas. That's true. Joe Rodman, nice to have you here, Joe, from Chicago. Eduardo Montero, nice to have you here from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. James Johnson, did anybody ever have a radio that you didn't like at first but ended up loving it later? Okay, I'm going to check it out, Levy Nathan. I'm going to check it out, but there's no mention anywhere, and I've read the manual and I've looked at all the stuff. There's no mention anywhere of a microphone. So, but I will check it out, definitely, because now you made me curious about that little hole that I didn't even notice first. So you guys now are making me nuts for a little pinhole in the radio. So I'm gonna have to check if maybe there is a microphone, and I don't see it nowhere. So I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out. Man. So did I ever have a radio I didn't like at first and liked later? Usually when I don't like it from the start, I never like it again. I can't think of a radio that went that way. I didn't like it at first, and I liked later. I can't even think of one. Usually when I don't like it first, I just don't like it. I got some music albums that I didn't like at the first listen that became my favorite albums of all time. I actually have some strange. It's so strange because I sometimes tell people did it haven't ever happened to you? You listen to an album from an artist. Your first listen is you hate almost everything. And you look at yourself 10 years later, and it's one of the top albums you always listen to because you love everything about it. For some reason, you learn to love it. But I can't say there's any radio that I hate it when I got it that I actually love after. I'm trying to think and I can't even find one. I'm looking at all the radios that are in front of me. Actually, I'm looking at all the radios in front of me that haven't been used in a long time, and I'm thinking, wow, I need to have these radios ready and working. Especially that good old Grundig from 1969. It hasn't worked in at least a couple of months now. I have to plug it back in and listen to Shortwave on it tonight. That'd be a fun thing to do and make a few videos. So anyways, I'm going to check it out now because everybody's telling me there's a little hole in that radio and I haven't seen it. And now I notice it and now it's going to be there in my face all the time. And some of you are telling me that it's a microphone. So I'm going to check it out, Levy Nathan. We'll come back at that and say, well, darn it, it's a microphone. How can I test it now? Let me check it out here, okay? I got my phone. How could I test this? So, how could I test this? I'm trying to think, how could I... So, when you make a call, how about I call myself? I'm going to call myself, which should give me... No. Does it give me the... Okay. Maybe... Okay, guys. I'm Bluetooth. Okay, Bluetooth. Let me check it out here. Bluetooth. So, is Bluetooth connecting to my Texan receiver? Okay, Bluetooth, Texan PL990 connected. So you see it here. It says PL. Oops, it's a little PL990 connected. Okay. So that means that if I play Swiss. Works great. So this is the interval signal from Swiss radio. Playing from YouTube here. So we got that working. How can I... Okay, so we've got the audio out. Let's do something here. If I... So... Okay, so I get to my... Let me check it out here if I can record something. Okay. Okay. Try it out here. Let me just... I'm sorry, guys. I have to try this. Okay. We're going to see. I'm going to tap on the radio.
Votre message d'accueil général va comme suit.
Well, darn yes, it's a microphone. I tapped on the radio and it actually tapped on the message that I recorded.
Le 2. Pour conserver l'enregistrement que vous venez d'entendre, appuyez sur le carré.
So it is a microphone, guys. And we have an official test. So I tapped on the radio and it actually did tap in the message that was recording. So what I did is I tried to record a new voice message. So wow, it is a microphone. Now we all know that there is a microphone within the Texan PL990X. Okay. Hey, Nick. Nice to have you here. K9XN in Northwest Indiana, USA. PU4ECL. PY4001SWL. Nice to have you on board from Brazil, my friend. So, Tony Turtle. Nice to have you on board from Michigan. We have Mongoose. Nice to have you on board. Do most digital shortwave radios have chuff while rotating the dial? So here's the thing. It's really a thing about DSP portables. Now, that said, the PL990X, and I think that's a very positive point about it, is the fact that it does not. And I think it all has to be the way that they actually use the DSP circuit. But a lot of modern receivers, most modern receivers, portable receivers, and we got to be very, very careful here because if you're talking about high-end radios, it's not the same thing, okay? Like an ICOM ICR8600 is a DSP receiver. It's a digital shortwave radio and wideband radio. That does not mute. The high-end radios do not mute. They're different, but they are SDRs. They're not DSP. And I think that's where we have to do the difference. The portable receivers that mute are DSP based, which is different from an SDR, where like an ICOM ICR8600 is an SDR. So DSP based portables, they pretty much all mute. There are, the exception to the rule, the PL990X is an exception, but it's, I think, in the fact that it has a mix. It's a hybrid of technology. It's a hybrid of DSP and of analog circuitry. That's why it doesn't mute. Nick, personally, I love the reviews you do and appreciate the thoroughness and opinion. It really does depend on your individual circumstances and of what radio is best. It goes with the experience. It goes with the environment. I know that some of you, there's quite a few that have an ICOM ICR30 that love it. But I think it all has to do, I always say how it's harsh here in the environment. Well, this is the best place to test a radio to see if its front end is capable of holding. And the ICOM ICR30 has the crappiest front end you can have on a radio. I mean, I have $200 scanner radios from Radio Shack that never overload. Why does an ICOM ICR30 overload? Crappy front end. That's all. And that's the way it was built, a crappy front end. That said, once again, I'm sure if you live in the middle of nowhere, you don't have that same experience because you don't have any strong signals that are overloading it. So it's probably working super well. You don't even never use the attenuators because you want to keep the sensitivity at max because around you, nothing overloads it. And you know what? I'm pretty sure that if I'd be in the middle of nowhere, that ICOM ICR30, I would have a different opinion possibly on it. I might say it's one of the best radios I own. That is, the environment's important, but it is important to know that environment. Someone somewhere will see my review and say, you know what? I live in a place where a lot of radios overload because of FM, and I'm now maybe not going to buy it because you're telling me that thing is going to overload like crazy. And that's what's going to happen. It's a question of opinion, of location, of, same with the K180 WLA. That loop, when I position it where FM signals tend to kind of be weaker, I see that the overload problem seems to attenuate, which means if you would live in a rural area, not really a lot of strong signals around you, the K180 WLA can actually serve very well as a shortwave radio antenna. I would bet, because where there's no overload of FM or any breakthrough, my shortwave reception on the K180 is really good. It's as good as the MLA30. The difference is just that I'm getting FM breakthrough on the loop. It's the amplifier of the loop itself that overloads. Take care, Lee Burkett. See you next week. So, it's all it's all of that. You got to put in perspective a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. So, what else do we have? Well, you know what, Bill? On the 880, I think it's pretty much what I have here, the 990. It from what I've seen and from what I've heard, except for the fact that I've seen that some say that the PL 880 sound is even better. I know the 990 is really good. That's I can tell you that. But when I see the flaws of the 880, they're the same on the 990. So they seem to be very similar in performance. And I would say that the sound quality, I've seen some say the sound quality is better on the 880 than 990X. It's possible. For the rest, I think the performance is pretty much the same. What else do we have? Wayne Hall, does grounding the shield of the SMA connector of the RTL SDR improve the reception if only using center wire connection as an antenna and no shielded cable? Yeah, because if you can ground it, the problem is if you don't plug it anywhere, the shield doesn't have its full use of shielding the inner cable from all the electrical noise around you. So if you can find some way of grounding it, it definitely will lower that noise, especially not if the cable's very short, not that much, but if the cable's long, if you have a really long cable, it might technically. Now, that said, if you're talking of a loop antenna like the MLA30, there's no need for that. It won't change anything. You don't need to ground the MLA30. It's kind of a self-sustained system. And there's no need for any grounding on the MLA30. So, yeah, that was kind of weird, Matt? I find it weird also. It's like the participation was good. Levy Nathan, can you take calls in the PL990 by Bluetooth? This is the microphone when yeah, so I just like you saw, I just tried it. There's absolutely a microphone. So it's kind of cool. John Doe says, my feelings is if this is the best Texan can do, we can say that there will be never another high-end receiver from Texan. How did the sync and no option for AJC? So sad. Well, to be fair, on the AJC side, there's no portables that I know of that have any setting for AJC. The real bad option is mostly the sync detector. That's no good. And it's a shame because when you compare it to PL680, that is half the price. On the 680, it's great. You know? Keisha Escape had a bad pizza, had pineapple on it. Yeah, any fruits and vegetables on, well, no, not true, but any fruits on pizza is not necessarily, well, that's not true also, but anyways, let's not go there. Danny Shortwave, 3 MLA 30 loops here too. Two of them modded, way less cost than the W6LVP. You know, one of the things that was also funny about that is when I got the MLA 30, and in the MLA 30, somebody said, "Oh yeah, but that thing won't hold up. You know, after one winter, it's going to fail." Even if after one winter it failed, I still need to buy more than 10 of them to match the price of my W6LVP. So I could be buying an MLA 30 for the next 10 years, every year. And I'm not even going to be at the W6LVP loop price. And maybe some other loop's going to come on the market and beat it. You know, I don't know. So, MBK2, I have faith that Texan could build a radio that has it all, since the PL660, 680 have great sync. But I think they themselves announced this was the end of the line. So, yeah. Where I would have liked to see Texan go is on a tabletop. We're not there, and they're not going to go there. But I would have been very, very interested in seeing a Texan tabletop shortwave radio. That could have been surprising. I think they have the technology. I think they have the knowledge. They are capable of bringing some really nice portables at decent prices. I think that they could have brought a tabletop of a decent price that could have surprised everybody. I'm pretty sure they could have done that. What else do we have? What else do we have? Let's go down. Quillia, the synchronous detection can help you in signals that are weaker and fading fast, and you're having a hard time kind of trying to make out whatever you're listening to. That's where synchronous detection is very helpful. Because for those that don't know what it is, it's very simple. When you listen to a international broadcast station, and that's also a thing where a lot of people don't understand how to use the synchronous detection, because they see upper and lower sideband. They think it's something for ham or utility signals. It's not. Synchronous detection needs to be used with a international broadcast station. When you're listening to those signals, they are in AM mode. So if you're listening, say you're listening to Radio Romania. Radio Romania sends a signal with a carrier, and each side has audio. That's what we call an AM signal. Now, if there's fast fading, what happens is that fast fading, and sometimes the fading isn't equal on each side, depending on how its shortwave propagation is, it distorts the audio a lot. Where synchronous detection can save that is that it removes or synchronizes. That's why it's called sync detection. It synchronizes with the carrier of the station by replacing the carrier with the radio's own carrier, which is extremely stable since it's in the radio, to make you listen to the same sidebands on each side. But you can choose the upper sideband or the lower sideband. You don't have to choose both. So that, in some circumstances, can make a big difference in being able to understand what you hear compared to a very distorted AM signal. Rich says the Texan 920C analog radio with frequency counter had such bad backlash. I hated it. Later on, I understood more and loved it for a little analog gem that it is. It's a question of understanding what you have in your hands, also, like you're saying, Rich. The problem is when you don't understand how technology is used in radio, it's possible to hate something because you don't understand that what you have isn't exactly what you think it is. That's the biggest thing. And I remember the first time I came across a radio with frequency counter. I didn't know it existed. I never thought, for me, a radio with a frequency display, the only radios I ever owned with a frequency display were all PLL synthesized. They were all phase lock looped radios. I never thought that there was something else. And I thought that when there's a display with the frequency, it always is a PLL driven radio. Then one day I got into one radio with a frequency display. And I thought it was weird and it wasn't accurate. And I was like, wow, this is a bad PLL radio. But I remember it was a cheap radio too. And one of the things that came up is that I one day read about how that radio that I owned was actually an analog radio, and that display was a frequency counter. It was counting in the IF the frequency and kind of saying, well, you're kind of tuned to 9830. It kind of works. I mean, you do have, it's a hybrid, a halfway between an analog radio with a needle on the scale and a PLL driven radio that is much more precise. It gives you somewhat of a precision, but it's not exactly what it is. And also, because it's an analog radio and not PLL driven, it drifts more. You got to know what you have, and that's where you might say, well, this is a bad radio. Yeah, well, it's actually good for what it is, especially if you look at how cheap it is, the 920C. It's actually a surprising radio. It's sensitive. You have somewhat of a frequency display that gives you an idea where you're tuning. But yeah, it's not a phase lock loop digital radio, so it's not in the same game. But once you know what it is, you kind of get the drift of, well, you know what? It's interesting. It's interesting. Levy Nathan, I hated the Sangean 909X Abide, and I don't use in months now. I have two, and they are my favorites. I would say on the Sangean, I've got the original. I had the original, which was the, being a guy that listens to the radio a lot, you, of course, and gets the knowledge. You notice stuff. I purchased the original one under the Radio Shack brand, Radio Shack DX398, but it's a Sangean 99. And I remember how I found the radio was cool, but I was kind of pissed off at the fact that it wasn't that sensitive compared to, I think back then I was comparing it with the Grundig Yacht Boy 400. And it was like, well, like Grundig Yacht Boy 400 beats the hell out of that radio. And I didn't hate it. I think it was more of there was some deception there. I was not happy. So, So that was kind of sad. But then, you plug in a long wire and you're just like, well, on a long wire, it's actually not bad at all. And so if I had one, you make me think, if I had one that I didn't hate it, I was just not impressed, and it became a radio that I kind of enjoyed using. Okay, let's put the Sangean ATS 909 and 909X in that boat. I guess I have one. Hey, welcome back, Bobby Burgess. John Doe. No, it doesn't record to SD card, unfortunately. That I know. It's sad because it would have been fun if it did. Well, I think the 990X is an 880, kind of tweaked and upgraded, but it's basically an 880 with maybe a different speaker. Brand new DX, the PL990X can receive signals from back in time, such as Swiss Radio International. Hey, I was listening to the Moscow mailbag with Joe Adamov the other day on it. I like the guy saying, told you. Okay, told me, you told me, it's okay. Yeah, I gotta say, Quilla, if a Tivdio V115 at $20 can record on SD card, it does mean that they could have really, they could have made, recording. I would have enjoyed having that recording of the shortwave stuff in the on the SD card. Honestly, what I find sad is I will not use that SD card reader because maybe I could take the SD card, micro SD card off of the ICOM ICR30, put it in there to listen to whatever I recorded there. But honestly, if it doesn't record on micro SD card, I have no use for that SD reader. I know that it's for media, and I mean, the SD card included in it has Chinese music, by the way. There's some Chinese music of like Chinese artists that are in English to kind of test it out, so it does work. But I mean, I have no use for the SD card reader in there for MP3s or whatever. I'm never gonna pop in an SD card of, it's so much of a problem to do so. I'm just gonna take whatever thing and play it here and send it by Bluetooth. Why would I use a micro SD card? It's a pain in the butt, honestly. Tom the Xer, Chinese intelligence listening on your activities. So yeah, it's a microphone. That girl sounds nice. Oh God. Nick, so PL 880 and 990 are hybrids using analog IFs and DSP. Yep, absolutely. Man, what else do we have? Shelly Sykes, better spies than UFOs. It depends. Maybe a spy is a UFO. What else do we have? John Doe, so the 990X does have a few secret menus and secret features in it. Yes, absolutely. 12 stations from the California QSO parties. Cool, Page Master. Having fun with radio. So Matt's is going to get another International Space Station pass. Cool. Everton Packerman, nice to have you here. Yes, it has the connector on the left side for external antenna. That's why I've got this plugged in right now, because it goes to W6LVP. It has a switch, on-off switch for the external internal antenna. And what's cool is that it actually uses the external antenna also for the medium wave AM and long wave, which is not a lot of radios do that. So it disconnects the internal ferrite when you plug in the external antenna on it. So it's kind of cool. I gotta say. So let me just check it out here. Radio. Whoops, that's play. Back to radio. So this is CFRX 6070. Not the best signal, but it's there. Let's check out if there are 10. So signal from CHU. Not the best of signals right now. It's a little noisy tonight. I don't know if there's some activity happening. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's why I started thinking, well, no fruits are, and then I thought, well, wait a minute, tomatoes, and so let's just not go there. Keisha Skate would love to have an ICOM ICR75 DSP combined with sync and noise blanker. Carlos Aguila, you saw some show. I had asked you about the XH data a few days ago during the hangover. Then I found like 1 million reviews by you. Bless your heart, heard that you're such a enabler. Well, happy. You're gonna be happy with it. You're gonna have a lot of fun. $105, good price for the XH Data D808. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's in the $100 range ish. So kind of cool. What else do we have? Yeah, but Kisha Escape. What I mean is a lot of people, because of the USB, the LSB USB upper lower sideband, they think it is for single sideband signals, and they use it and they don't understand what's happening and why it works or not. But sync detection is for AM signals. The Kenwood R5000 was one of the radios that I had to recalibrate regularly. It was a very, very stable radio, but the Kenwood R5000 actually drifts off its main frequency over time. And I had a little plastic screwdriver, and when it would get off enough, when I was tuning WWV and upper lower sideband, I would take the cover off. I would go to the little screwdriver because I knew where to go. I would turn the little pot until upper lower sideband for WWV sounds like the same. And then I would put the cover back on and it'd be okay for a while. Yeah, Saturday shows now. No more Friday show. It's all Saturday right now. For now, I haven't seen any overloading problems on my 909X. it doesn't seem to be much of a problem. I haven't had any FM breakthrough anywhere. That's also something to check for here, because I do have quite a few shortwave radios that have FM breakthrough because the stations are so strong. I haven't had any FM breakthrough on shortwave, so that's a welcome, a very welcome change, because that's always something I'm a little scared of. So yeah, that's the cool thing about YouTube. You can watch it later. Wayne Hall. Yeah, because they do have that kit, which is a little more expensive, that has a recorder with it, you know. Leonardo Relen. ¿Cómo está mi amigo from Chile? A little creepy having a microphone in the radio. Yeah, well, you know, it's sending back to China all the information of when I listen to China Radio International. They want to know what I'm listening to on shortwave. What else do we have here? What else we have? Mongoose, going back to analog, never had issues with it. Yeah, well, it depends what you want. You know, honestly, it really depends what you want. Honestly, because I don't tune around with my portables on DSP, I got no problem with using a DSP radio that has muting, because it doesn't bother me that much. Actually, the XH data and C-Crane and the DSP-based receivers, I noticed that if you tune single sideband, the muting is almost non-existent. You can actually tune the ham bands with pretty much no muting. So it's really on AM mode where the muting happens. Well, at least it's not connected to the internet. If it would, if the radio, if the Texan PL990X would ask me for my Wi-Fi password, then I would start wondering why, and maybe be worried. Kevin, can't remember where I read it, but the 990X does not record because of a fine Sony had to pay for one of their radios being able to record. You know, there are little things like that sometimes are weird. There are things and there are reasons why sometimes you wonder why something is in a certain way. For example, my ICOM ICR20 portable. So it records in a very bizarre file format for audio. And you need to convert it. If you have it and transferred the audio on a PC, you got to convert the audio to MP3 or AVI or AV, whatever, not AVI, but whatever format you want to listen to. And I remember a lot of people ranting at that. And the problem is that MP3 is you need to pay a fee for every product that you create that can read or write an MP3. It's part of the way things work. So ICOM and the ICR20, they didn't want to pay that fee, but they still wanted to have a record. So they recorded in an open source weird format that nobody cares anymore. Problem is, as time goes by, it's getting even more difficult to actually be able to convert that audio file into something, because it's an old, very bizarre audio format. I don't remember the extension on it, but it's one of those things that was abandoned like years ago by some company somewhere. And you're like, wow. And as time goes by, finding what you need to actually convert that audio is getting more and more difficult. Now, they decided that they'd pay that fee because on the R30, it records an MP3. But every device that has a recorder that has an important file format like MP3 or whatever needs to pay a fee to be able to use and have that file format. So that is one of the things also you got to think about is, why, I'd be interested in seeing the Texan engineers that designed the 990X. Did one of them think about, we could have a recorder in there? And did somebody come back and say, well, if you put a recorder, we got to pay fees for that file format we're going to use. So let's just not do it. That's a possibility. Because remember, every fee that you pay for a file format will also make the radio more expensive, because each radio has a fee or an amount that goes to pay for the royalties or the rights to use that file format. TVDXer, bonjour et bienvenue. Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. What else do we have? What else do we have? What am I drinking tonight? I'm on the Rickard's White. I've got a couple of orange slices in there because it does give a nice little taste to the white beer. So, yeah, CHU. CHU is Keisha's Cape has stable in frequency as WWV. CHU actually drives their transmitter frequency from the atomic clock that they use to actually give time. So like WWV does the same thing. The reason why WWV's frequency reference is really good is because it's derived from the atomic clock that they give the time with. So it gives it an added accuracy. So you could technically use CHU as a frequency reference. Now, the problem with CHU being used as a frequency reference is the fact that they're not using standard AM. They're using kind of sideband. I don't remember what's the mode they use. So it's easier to actually use WWV because WWV's tone is in AM mode. And so you can compare if the upper and the lower sideband sound the same. That gives you a pretty good idea of how accurate your radio is on its frequency. Which is, if you tune, for example, CHU in upper and lower sideband, I don't know if I can try it here with this radio, 3330. So if I tune it upper, yeah, so you can't use it on, you can't really compare it on CHU because I'm going to show you. So here's CHU in upper sideband, okay? Now I'm going to switch to lower sideband. And you don't hear the tone anymore because they're using some kind of like an enhanced upper sideband thing. I'm trying. I can't remember the exact term, but the transmission mode of CHU actually isn't technically AM. It's kind of one of the sidebands, and that's what you hear. One of the sidebands is enhanced compared to the other. It's a different thing. On WWV, if I tune WWV, so let's try it out here. Can I hear it on 10? On 15? So look at that. I'm gonna So this is WWV. And upper. It's very weak, I'm sorry. Oh, man. It's I can hear it, but it's too weak to really do an example with the radio here. So anyways, it's a different way of doing things. And so WWV can be used as a frequency. Let me try it out again. It's a little stronger now. Yeah, it's just too weak. If it'd be stronger, it'd be interesting because we could do the test. But you can't do that with CHU because CHU is different in the way that it uses its transmission mode. Mark Stevens, nice to have you on board from the North Carolina mountains. Bands have been awesome lately. Cool. Kamaxi 76 from West Michigan. Mark Stevens likes to change to Saturdays, works better with my work schedule. I think a lot of people like this Saturday a lot better. A lot better. Red flannel day. Okay. Next week is going to be beach party day. I'm going to drop Stan anywhere and I'm going to wear some, I'll wear some sunscreen and put a 500-watt light in my face. What else do we have? So what else do we have? It's possible that they switch off some functionalities of some functions of the DSP chip in SSB. It is possible that it changes. Yeah. Hey, beer number 4. Sorry, guys. Beer number 4. Oh my God. Okay. I knew it was coming. Rickatron 990X does not ask your Wi-Fi password. It just sniffs around and breaks into your Wi-Fi. That's the difference. Joe Tyson. Okay, you know what? That would explain something, Joe Tyson. Maybe it's why they have implemented it in the ICOM XCR30. Because I've seen more devices with MP3 now. So maybe that's the reason why I'm seeing more devices with MP3. So what else do we have? Yeah, OGG format. No, it's very weird. It's not that. It's a very, it's a, the Icom ICR 20 uses a format that was used by some weird company device. And I don't know why they chose that for some reason. Of course, because it was free, but I don't know. Jeff Williams, nice to have you here from Southwest Cornwall. Well, you know, Max, that's wrong when vodka and cranberry juice start banging on your door. Yeah, that's the thing. The Oki ADPC, whatever. It's an old stuff. It's an old thing, and it's getting more difficult to find the software needed to actually convert. Yeah, H3E, but it has like an it transmits on upper sideband thing. Yeah, carrier upper sideband. So that's it. So you can't tune both because you cannot, you know. Yeah, I do love my 990X. It is a love story. I actually want to marry my 990X. Is everybody coming to the wedding? Everybody gets a free radio. Of course, everybody's going to be at a wedding now. Even though it sounds kind of weird marrying a radio. EA3IEK, David says, I don't know in the case of CHU or WWV, but I can say that the ETAL cable time signal that can be easily received is carrier plus upper sideband. Yeah, CHU is carrier plus upper sideband also, but WWV is not. It's different. New Year's Eve with a countdown. Well, with confinement, if we're all confined, you know what? On New Year's Eve, I'd have nothing to do except being at home. You never know this year. I might have a Christmas Eve live show. Hey, it's Christmas Eve. Let's open the box with maybe a surprise radio as a Christmas gift. Who knows? Hey, if it's confinement, I'll do it 24 hours on January 1st. We're going to start at, sometime, and we're going to wish Happy New Year to every zone around the world. Everywhere there's a time zone, we're going to actually do a Happy New Year. That'd be kind of nice. What else do we have? Yeah, we could see it on the just see it here. You want to get 3330 here and just make it bigger. Here we go. So if I make this much bigger, zoom in. So you could see that the center carrier for CHU is there. And this is the right side of CHU. So you see that there's two lines here, but there's nothing on the bottom side. So it's really an upper sideband thing. Spanish-speaking pirate on 6906.1. 6906.1. Yeah, there's something there. Yeah, I kind of hear something, but it's very weak here. Very weak over here. Any pirates tonight? Let's check out HF Underground. Any pirates have signed in? So there's an UNID 6906 upper sideband. 21 UT, there was Zeke's Attic on 6929. I don't know if he's still there. 6929. Yeah, it's there. I'm hearing music. 6929, guys. Upper sideband. Really good, pretty good signal. Pretty good signal. 6929 upper sideband, Zeke's Attic. Let's check it out here on the Texan 6929 upper sideband. Yep. So this is on the Texan receiver 6929 upper sideband. So that's enough because I'll be breaking the copyright rules, but it's received on the Texan PL990X, also using the W6 LVP loop. A heat wave. Oh, man. Hey, Kimberly, K6YY Hell from California. Nice to have you on board. Thomas Olson says, keep thinking that if market was a little larger, the Japanese would continue making shortwave receivers, maybe India or South Korea. Yeah, I think, I would be curious. How many people in Japan? The thing is, I think the shortwave market is probably shrinking, but it's still big in China and in a lot of parts of Asia. I think the biggest problem is that they don't want to pay for the radios. They don't want to have a radio that's expensive, And Leonardo says, it was the first time I listened to the live show. Really loved it. And I learned a lot since I started watching your channel. Thanks. Cool. See you next week. It's fun to have you here. Yeah, I saw it on the HF Underground, an ID thing. Herrick. What else do we have? What else do we have? What else do we have? Just check it out here. Da-da-da-da-da. Check it out if I missed anything. So now some talk on the pirate station. So this is Zeke's attic.
Oh God, flying lizards. Yeah, she says that's next. So.
And give them to the birds and bees. I want money.
Well, I guess there was some talk. So it's pretty good signal, actually. It's interesting how the AGC punch doesn't show too much here, but it's very fast paced, so maybe it doesn't have time to kind of drop too much in between. Free beer, free cats, and free radios. What else do we have? Keisha escapes Cummington with the wedding. Yeah, that's true. A Japanese man married a Nintendo character. Yeah, I guess. Oh, God. What else do we have? Yeah, well, here the shutdown. We were okay all summer. Now they shut us down again on October 1st. Not as bad as before, but it's bars and restaurants are closed now. Monkey Man, thinking that you aren't too impressed with the 990X. I'm impressed in some of its aspects. It works great as a radio, and if anybody that gets one will not be unhappy with it. And I'm happy to have one.
And we, Yeah, by the way.
Zeke Sadik.
Because we have a great lineup for all you bad boys. We've got Alex Cooper, we got Vital Remains.
It's a little weaker than it was.
We got all kinds of names. Of course, on this station, we got man on most of the time anyway. And we got Megadeth and Environment.
It's a little weaker than it was. So Zeke's Attic Pirate on 6929 upper sideband. What else we have? I would do it for Nikon in 9500, but I don't have Joe's star power. Oh man. Carlos Parliament ALEC Wave 5 developed in California, the compressed. Yeah. So many different formats today. It's crazy. Marvin Motz says the shortwave market here in Japan has shrunk very much over the years. TV took over everything, yet very many people have ham licenses due to technology education. Huh, kind of interesting. Hey, G-Bone 1, nice to have you here. Prasad, nice to have you on board from India. Ray Erdink, nice to have you on board from the UK on this Saturday show. Donald E. Smith, nice to have you here from Bermuda. I heard Bermuda last night. I was listening to the Bermuda Harbor broadcast on 2582. It's been a long time I had not received that. G-Bone One says putting together new antennas now that indoor weather has started. So yeah, everything has to be up before winter sets in. Well, you know what, Ray? I don't think it's for the 990X is for everyone. You're definitely the 808 gets everything that the 990X will get, but it's just it's a different radio. I'm happy to own it. It's one of my top radios that I love, but being, like I said earlier, being fair here on what is what it's all about, and say what's good and what's bad. I think it's important, honestly. John Doe, yeah, it's 250 watts probably. It's certainly not 250 milliwatts. We would not hear it at all. I think it's probably 250 watts. But, I was surprised the other day. I was listening to a pirate, and the guy was saying that he was only using, I think it was 25 watts. And it's like, I was surprised at the quality of the signal for just 25 watts, But I'm pretty sure he doesn't have 250 milliwatts. I don't think nobody would be listening to him right now. Not at 250 milliwatts. G-Bone says, we get severe weather here. Got to take some down and put up some stronger antennas at the end of summer. Yeah, here there are two things here that I'm always worried about on antennas outdoors. One is the summer thunderstorms, real strong ones that we get from time to time, some heavy thunderstorms and very high winds. That's the summer, worry. And I'd say that the second worry in the wintertime is ice storms, having high storms that are a little too intense. Because the problem with ice storms is that you get these, you get ice that accumulates on the antenna, and that ice, and if it's windy, that can really make some really severe damage. It's surprising, and in the last 20 years, we get a lot more ice storms than we used to. Global warming has an impact here, because in the past we had mostly snow when there was a snowstorm. And actually, there was a documentary, or not a documentary, but there was they were talking about that in the Weather Channel here. And they were saying that in the last 20 years, when we get big snowstorms, we have a tendency to have less snow and a lot more mixed precipitations, including ice and rain. And so we have a tendency to have a lot more ice everywhere on the antennas, and put that with a snowstorm and high winds, and you look at your antenna like bending over almost, and you're like, yeah, that doesn't look good. Look at the sloper in the backyard with it's like 3 times thicker because of the ice around it, and it's windy, and you see it swinging, and you're like, yeah, that thing's gonna snap at some point. So I'm probably more scared of winter weather with ice storms than summer weather with thunderstorms. How is the 990X on long wave? Matt Hallows. Nice to have you here from the UK. Look, here I can't test it much on long wave. It's I have a lot of noise. Pretty much the only thing I hear is non-directional beacons from airports. That said, if I tune the regular beacons that I usually hear on a good radio, they're all there. It seems to be okay. I can't say more than that, but it works. It works. What else do we have? But we have a lot more ice storms than we used to before. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Yeah, Keisha Escape, absolutely. Many years ago, I had 100 feet long wire, and we had a pretty big ice storm, and it actually snapped the wire. This is the major problem, I would say, in the winter is, snowstorms. It's high winds and snow. It's nothing bad for antennas in general, because it's mostly the wind. And if you know that your antenna can withstand, 100-kilometer winds, look at the MLA30, for example. It's such a thin metal wire around it that the impact of high winds is very minimal. So it doesn't really, impact that much. But bring a ice storm where that thin wire becomes 4 times the size that it is, and put 100-kilometer per hour winds over it. Now that might start being a bigger problem, and that's probably where it is more problematic. There was one thunderstorm this summer where we had some really high wind gusts. And I was looking at my MLA 30, and I mean, that thing bends with the wind. Like, it's not rigid enough to just stay like that. It bends with the wind, but it comes back into shape like it was before. So, it's like, it's okay. I mean, I could see that if there's dominant, because here the dominant winds are from the west in general. So you could see it in some of the trees here, actually. There's a pine tree a little further in the street here, a big pine tree. You could see that it bends in one side a little bit. And here, this is typical of this area. There are a lot of trees. You can see that they bend in one direction a little more. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And it's mostly because the wind, the majority of the time, blows from the west. And yes, it can blow from the east, it can blow from the south, and so on, but the dominant winds are always from the west. So it shows on some trees that, is being pushed a little more on one side than the general vicinity. So, a thing like an MLA 30 might maybe over time bend a little more on one side because of dominant winds. You just take the wire and do like, and you just fix your antenna, But definitely over years, I think the ice storms are probably what is the most problematic in general. Rob likes pirate signals. Yeah, it's always fun to listen to pirates. What else do we have? Max Headstrong, massive antenna farm with beverage antennas pointed in all directions, with me in the center in an underground bunker. That would be a. Hey, Douglas Perry, long time no see. Nice to have you here. That would be something. But, apart from, if I look at weather versus antennas, I haven't had too much problems. With that over time. I'm trying to think. In 1998, when we had the big ice storm, I must have had a wire outside. I don't remember having to fix wire or my antennas and the big ice storm of 98. Back then, I probably had only one wire. I had my discount up. It's true, I had my discount. I mean, it probably didn't impact much my antennas because the ice storm in 98 was intense. I mean, there were inches of ice around everything. And I still remember that it was a very impressive sight. If I have to pull down my most intense experiences of weather, three of them come to mind. One is, so if we put it in chronological order, the first one is the big thunderstorms of 1987. So we had a series of thunderstorms come through in Montreal in 87. And I still remember it was July 14th, 1987. Anybody that Googles Montreal, July 14th, 1987, you will see the stories of what it looked like. We had a series of thunderstorms that went through that were very intense. I had never seen weather like that. I had never seen winds and rain like that in my whole life. I never did see that again after. In an hour, where I lived, the park was a big lake. It's a huge lake. In 1 hour, it fell. In where I was living, they had like 100 millimeters of rain in 1 hour. I mean, 100 millimeters of rain, which is 10 centimeters, is what falls in more than a month, typically. But it fell in 1 hour. So that was a crazy moment. That was one that was extremely intense. Every houses, the basement were all full of water. I remember where we lived. In the basement lived an old lady. If you would go in her basement, you would have water up to about here. It was crazy. And that was one of the craziest thunderstorms I've ever seen in my life. So that was intense. The second event after that was a snow squall. I had never witnessed something intense like that in my life. It's Friday evening, coming back from work. We're all stopped at a traffic light. It's sunny, beautiful. Light changes. Everybody's stopped, and like it's beautiful. In exactly 1 minute, it went from it's sunny and beautiful to I can't even see the guy in the car next to me, and you just can't see anything. It was just all white. I had never experienced that either. It was really just white. Nothing. The light changed, and we couldn't see the light anyways. Nobody moved. We were all like, what the hell is happening here? It lasted, I don't know, 3-4 minutes. And then the sun came back. And it was like, what was that? Never seen intense snow like that in my whole life. And the third event, of course, is the ice storm. That was by far the most intense thing that I've ever lived through. The ice storm was crazy. But it's funny because I'm thinking of all of those events, and I don't recall having to fix any antennas or anything. But, a lot of them were wires. And so probably they were able to kind of hold through, I don't know. Matt said we might get Wolverine Radio tonight. Hasn't been on in 4 weeks. I like Wolverine. Kind of nice. Always nice. TVDXer, Radio 48, S9 as my QTH. Great audio. What else do we have? I was lucky, Eric, because since I lived here in the city, I only had power outage for 24 hours. But my sister that lived down south didn't have power for a month. It took a month before they could reconnect. 6872 AM. Yeah, there's something there. Yeah, there's definitely something there. It's a little noisy here, but there's definitely something there. I don't know if on the it's music, that's for sure. I'm hearing it on the Texan PL990X also, but yep. It's not a true discount if it doesn't have elements broken off. So, but that ice storm, man, crazy. Well, it was crazy. Andrew David, yeah, it was 1998 here. Keisha Escape says, man, I wish I could have had the cool stations you got in the 80s and 90s. Oh, man, there were so many things. So many things. Pagemaster, July 14th, 1987. Montreal flood. Over 350,000 people without power. Yep, that was crazy. That was totally crazy. Yeah, Keisha Escape. Little rabbit here is a souvenir from my sister that died in 2011. SoCal, I've got my MLA 30 Plus today. Replaced the wire loop with a 1/4-inch copper pipe loop. Works well, better than the 60 feet long wire. Medium wave has a station every 10 kilohertz. Way too many stations. So, you know, it shows you that your 60 feet long wire probably had too much noise, because that's really what makes a difference. In a low noise environment, your 60 feet long wire would have been better. But because it's noisy where you are, that's where the MLA 30 really shines. So cool. Nice. JD Dakota. Just to have a 1980s Toshiba boombox with 2-wide shortwave. Oh, man. The boombox and the radios with shortwave back then. That's crazy. So here I've got pretty much. Yeah, I hear 6915, but it's a little weak. A little weak. What else do we have? Keegan's got a recording of 5 megahertz WWV on the Zenith Transoceanic R7002 received the 100th anniversary of WWV on October 1st, 2019. Cool. That is cool. So, hey guys, we've been on for 3 hours and 7 minutes. I am going to say goodbye for the night. I'm going to go and eat. I've got some pea soup and I've got a pork roast that should be just about ready now. So I want to thank everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Hope you enjoyed the fact that it's a Saturday now. And we will be, of course, back next week. So remember the new schedule. Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 0 hours UTC, Thursday, technically. And now Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours UTC. And nice to have all of you on board as usual. So take care, everybody. Stay safe. Love you all. I'm going to continue tuning the pirates and the stations around. So why not go to the Facebook group? I'll be posting what I'm listening to throughout the night. And you guys can also share what you're hearing at the same time. So official SWL channel, Facebook group. Why not join in and have fun with all of us? This is where the party continues when all of it is over here. So cheers, everybody. I want you guys to take care and to stay safe. Okay? Love you all. Bye, my friends. Love you all.